My name is Dr. Pocha, and as a consultant pediatrician with a special interest in communication disorders, including Asperger Syndrome, I've worked with many children and young people with social communication difficulties. The term autistic spectrum disorder includes a number of conditions diagnosed by certain symptoms or traits. In addition, we have other conditions which feature social communication difficulties. All are defined in their own right, but many of their traits overlap, so we can make links between autism and Asperger syndrome, as well as other conditions like dyspraxia, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, or specific language disorders. Most of us at some point experience anxiety in social situations, but for young people with Asperger syndrome, this anxiety can develop into almost constant high levels of stress. They may find it difficult to function appropriately as part of a group, be unable to understand irony or sarcasm, lack ability to recognize body language or to show empathy, and frequently misunderstand a conversation by interpreting things in a very concrete or literal way. Some people deal with these anxieties by opting out and can become very excluded and lonely. Others try to join in, but find this sometimes makes them feel uncomfortable and isolated, or just exhausted by the effort of trying to fit in. Having some simple strategies for dealing with unfamiliar situations or people can help someone who is feeling anxious to be more confident about coping with the uncertainties of these situations and perhaps actually enjoy them. Remember, there are no fixed rules, and you don't have to be more like everyone else than anyone else, or always agree with the fashionable view to get on well with others. Not everyone knows what we mean by Asperger syndrome, so I will say a little about it. Hans Asperger, an Austrian pediatrician, first described this syndrome in 1944. Initially, in 4 boys, he identified a pattern of behavior and abilities which he described as a lack of empathy, little ability to form friendships, one-sided conversations, intense absorption in a special interest, and clumsy movements. Asperger described these children as little professors because of their ability to talk about their favorite subject in great detail, and because they tended to use language that was complex and grown up. However, people with Asperger syndrome often get confused by aspects of everyday language and figures of speech. There are some people who do not have any formal diagnosis who also experience some of these social communication and language difficulties. In this DVD, actress Vicky Michelle and a group of young actors perform a number of everyday scenarios. They depict situations that can be tricky and suggest some simple solutions. At times, the scenarios may seem a little exaggerated, but they are designed to make a point and are based on very real experiences of people with Asperger syndrome. We hope you will enjoy the scenarios and find some good ideas to make you feel confident about facing uncertain situations.
Hello, my name's Vicky Michelle and I'm an actress. I first became involved with communication disorders, and in particular Asperger syndrome, about 12 years ago, when I received a letter from a mother whose young son Tom had been diagnosed with the condition. She explained how he often struggled to understand when spoken to, especially by unfamiliar people, and would frequently become confused and distressed. She also told me how they'd taken him to see a play I was in, and something really unusual happened. He could completely understand me, which for him, aged 8, was a first. Wanting to find out more, I contacted the family, offering to meet him with a view to offering some kind of support. No doubt you will be wondering how I was able to provide a partial solution to his problems. Well, as an actress, I express emotions and feelings in language or speech, and sometimes by non-verbal communication, such as body movements and facial expressions. Over the years, I've worked not only with Tom, but his whole family, and in particular his mother, who is a teaching assistant. I should emphasise the content of this DVD is intended to give guidelines and possible strategies only. There are no miracle cures, and we cannot guarantee success. However, what we do promise is a positive, practical resource, which at the very least offers a firm foundation on which to build. You are now going to see a series of scenarios. They include recognising body language, introductions, holding a conversation, figures of speech, mixed messages and sarcasm. All of the scenes are based on everyday situations and experiences. The characters are fictitious and played by actors. You will be able to pause the DVD in various places to practice some of the strategies for yourselves. There are times when it's difficult to work out if people actually mean what they say. All of us occasionally have problems deciding if people are being genuine with us, teasing or being sarcastic. I hope this DVD will provide you with some helpful information in dealing with these kinds of problems. To begin with, let's look at and think about some basic emotions. We show our emotions through our facial expressions and body language. Look at the three girls. You can see from their smiles that they are happy and welcoming. This girl is biting her lower lip. It makes it look as if she's unsure about something. The wide open eyes and open mouth indicate that this person is surprised. The way this person is resting his chin on his hand while looking down, with no trace of a smile, makes him look bored. This person is frowning, which makes him look worried. And this person is showing annoyance in a slightly aggressive way. Note the heavy frown causing the tight creases between his eyebrows, and the open mouth showing his teeth. It certainly isn't a smile. Also, his head is pushed forward. This person has slightly raised eyebrows and a slightly open mouth, which seem to indicate that he is interested in something. And this person's smile shows he is pleased and confident. This person seems more than pleased. She's laughing at something. And he's laughing as well. Note the broad smile and the laughter in his eyes. If you cover up his mouth, you can still tell he is smiling just by the way his eyes look. This person looks sad because the corners of her mouth are turned down, and her eyes show her sadness. And here she is again, but this time looking happy, with a big smile showing encouragement. This boy looks confused. The narrowing of the eyes, the slightly angled eyebrows, and the frown all show this. This girl is showing sarcasm. At first glance, she appears to be smiling, but the acutely angled eyebrows and the lack of warmth in her eyes suggest she is being insincere or sarcastic. This girl is bored and impatient. Her facial expression is tense and her head tilted, indicating she is not at all relaxed or happy with the situation. This look shows flirting. The fixed gaze and softness of the smile is reflected in this girl's eyes, showing she's attracted to the boy. This person is looking very stern. There is no warmth or smile in her expression. Her eyes are glaring and her mouth is tight-lipped, showing disapproval. Here you can see a complete contrast. There is an encouraging smile emphasizing approval. These are simple examples, but they are important. Whenever we meet people, we should always look for clues in their behaviour, their body language and facial expressions, to help us judge their attitude to what we are saying or doing. Okay, so now you know what to look for. In this section, we will practice introductions. The actors will show you how you might greet a number of people in different situations when starting at a new school. When you have watched the scenes once, replay them again, and this time think how you might deal with the situations. Some strategies are included that may help you to decide how you will behave in these situations. 1. Approach the person you want to greet at a suitable moment. For example, don't interrupt them if they are already in conversation. It's not very polite and likely to annoy them. 2. Say hello, tell them who you are, and don't stand too close to them. It can be off-putting. 3. If you are meeting someone you haven't met before, ask them their name. 4. If you want to carry on the conversation, you can ask them 1 or 2 questions to get you started. For example, ask them how they are, what they are doing, and if you can join in. Alternatively, tell them something you like doing and ask them what their hobbies are. Remember, conversations are a two-way process, and showing others you are listening carefully to what they say is as important as what you say to them. Always look directly at the person you are talking to. It shows you are interested. Think about the conversation and don't interrupt. Wait for your turn to join in and answer. Don't fidget or turn away. Think how you would feel if the person you were having a conversation with turned away, fidgeted, or ignored you. Now watch these scenes and see how many visual clues you can spot. Also look at the different ways in which the actors greet different people. Here our teenager with Asperger Syndrome, let's call him Peter, is doing what every young person has to do at some point in their lives, start a new school. It's his first day, and he has 1 or 2 friends there already, including David.
Hey David, it's really good to see you.
Pete, where have you been? I've been looking for you everywhere. You alright?
Yeah, I suppose, but it's a bit strange being here at a new school.
Oh yeah, no, that's the same for everyone though. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, shouldn't be too bad. I'll see you at break time.
Oh yeah, see you around, Pete.
Nothing the matter with that. Peter and David are old friends, and David's used to Peter greeting him in that way, but it won't always be the right thing to do. For example, if you were saying hello to someone you'd never met before, take a look at this.
How was your holiday, Mike?
I went to Cornwall.
Did you? Oh, we like Cornwall.
Did you?
Yes.
I surfed.
You went surfing?
Yeah. I was just getting,
Oh my God.
Oh, waves are awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never...
What was you doing? Surfing?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Guess who I saw in Greece?
Who?
Mr. Coker.
No, he didn't.
Is he like 50?
Yes. How embarrassing.
Not only that, he was so drunk he was dancing on the
Oh,
table.
no.
Yes, I'm not joking. He was so
That's horrendous.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Hi, my name's Peter. Paul.
Do I know you?
See the difference? What was accepted by Peter's friend David gets a completely different reaction when it's a total stranger on the receiving end. We've all got to behave differently in different situations. Peter just wanted to be friendly, but people just don't expect or like someone they don't know suddenly appearing and behaving towards them as if they're old friends. So let's look at the same scene again, but with Peter using a different approach.
How was your holiday, Mike?
I went to Cornwall.
Did you? Oh, we like Cornwall.
Did you?
Yes.
I surfed.
You went surfing?
Yeah. I was just getting,
Oh my God.
Oh, waves are awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I've never...
What was you doing? Surfing?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Guess who I saw in Greece?
Who?
Mr. Coker.
No, he didn't.
Is he like 50?
How embarrassing.
Not only that, he was so drunk he was dancing on the
Oh,
table.
no.
Yes, I'm not joking. He was so
Sorry,
it was so funny.
Hi, I'm starting here today.
What's your name?
Peter.
Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, I'm Liz.
Hi, Liz.
I'm Natasha. Hi, I'm Abby.
Hi, Abby.
Andy.
Hi, Andy.
See the difference? It's just a matter of choosing the right approach. If greeting a friend, be friendly and chatty from the start. If you're meeting new people, take a more gentle approach until you get to know them better. Avoid invading their personal space. And if it's a very important person, a VIP, you'll have to take an even more careful approach. In the next scene, I'm going to act the part of the head teacher. And in school, you don't get a more important person than that.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You are the head teacher here, aren't you?
Yes, I am. My name's Mrs. Brooks, and you are?
Peter.
Peter who?
Jenkins.
You're new here, aren't you?
Yes.
Look at me when I'm speaking to you. Well, Peter, at this school we do not approach the teachers in that fashion. Do you understand?
Yes, miss.
Good.
How's that for a disapproving look? And look at my body language. I've stepped away slightly to distance myself from what in this situation is someone behaving towards me in an unacceptable manner. Now let's look at the scene again, but with Peter behaving in a more appropriate way when meeting this kind of person in this kind of situation.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Peter Jenkins.
Oh, you're new here, aren't you?
Yes, this is my first day.
Well, I'm Mrs. Brooks, the head teacher. Welcome to our school, Peter. I hope you like it here.
And there's the smile that tells Peter he has done it the right way. You see how it's important to approach different people in different ways, according to who they are and how well you know them.
Now you have watched the actors. Here's a chance to do some acting yourselves. To start with, why don't you get someone to help you act out the last two scenes? Just practice doing it the right way first, then try different approaches and see how your friends react. It will give you more options. In the first scene, you will introduce yourself to someone you haven't met before. In the second scene, you meet a very important person. See how you get on. Just pause the DVD while you do this, and when you're ready to carry on, press play. In our next scenes, Peter has planned a conversation in his head. But what happens if things don't go the way he expects? How does he tell when the conversation is over? Watch the other children's reactions for clues. Again, we have prepared some strategies that may help you. Each scene will be introduced one at a time.
Watch the actor's body language as well as listening to what they say and see how many visual clues you can spot. Do they turn away? Do they change the subject? Do they fidget and look at their watch? What could you say or do if you don't get the answers you expect?
Then have you seen the latest Spider-Man film?
Yeah, I think the stunts in it were pretty amazing, actually.
I thought it was one of the best films I'd ever seen.
Has anyone seen the latest James Bond movie?
Oh yeah, I mean that's brilliant.
Wicked.
That's a really good film.
I thought Spider-Man was so much better.
Liz, you'll be a Bond girl.
Flattery will get you nowhere, Mike.
Seriously, weren't the stunts in Bond so much better than Spider-Man?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, but because the stunts are more real, but in Spider-Man they mostly use computer-generated
My
graphics.
dad's got all the Bond films.
Did you buy the collection? It's over 100 quid, you know. Yeah, that's a lot.
I've got all the Spider-Man films. Spider-Man's so much better than James Bond.
I don't think so.
Well, have you seen the part in one of the Spider-Man films when the Sandman is running away from a policeman and he runs around the corner, and when the policemen come around the corner, they can't see him, but they see his van, so it's suspicious that he might be inside. Yeah, and they decide to go into the van and they take off the covers, and all this is just full of sand. So what happens is the policemen get up onto the van and they walk on the sand, and suddenly it starts moving up and down, and suddenly the two policemen are sucked underneath, and you can see sand flying out all over the place, and it's just throwing the policemen onto the street. Then Spider-Man comes, lands right next to the van, and he opens up the door, or pulls the door off, and he goes inside. And once he gets in there, he punches the Sandman, and he goes right through him.
I've seen the Spider-Man film. At your house. We watch it all the time.
Ask yourself these questions. When did the others begin to lose interest in what Peter was saying about Spider-Man? The answer is when they showed signs of boredom. What did Peter say to get this reaction? Well, he repeated himself a lot, talking about Spider-Man. And at the end, he just kept on and on. When they realised he wasn't going to stop, they turned away and ignored him. How could he have stopped them turning away and ignoring him? Well, he could have done that by ending the conversation about Spider-Man when they first showed signs of losing interest, or by walking away and leaving them to talk about James Bond. But it would have been better if he had stayed with the conversation about Bond. A useful approach is to show an interest in what other people are saying. If you don't know enough about what they're talking about to make any good comments, just ask a question or two. This is what could have happened if Peter had taken that approach.
Then have you seen the latest Spider-Man film?
Yeah, I think the stunts in it were pretty amazing, actually.
I thought it was one of the best films I'd ever seen.
Has anyone seen the latest James Bond movie?
Oh yeah, I mean that's brilliant.
Wicked.
That's a really good film.
I haven't seen it. What's it about?
It starts off with Bond almost getting killed, and then M sets him on track with a gang of terrorists.
My dad, he's got all the Bond films.
Liz, you will be a Bond girl.
Flattery will get you nowhere, Mike.
Seriously, weren't the stunts in Bond so much better than Spider?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was one of the best stunts?
I think when he crashes the Aston Martin.
Yeah, that looks so real.
But there's that bit at the start when they're free running and they have a fight on top of the crane.
That sounds really good. I want to see it now. I'll see if it might be better than Spider-Man. I'll compare it against it.
Well, like I said, my dad's got all the DVDs, so I'll lend it to you.
Oh, great. Thanks.
See how easy it was for Peter. All he had to do to stay in the conversation was ask a couple of simple questions and be interested in what they had to say. Here's another situation. Peter has been invited to a party and he goes to the bar to order a drink.
Hi, what can I get you?
Can I have a Coke, please?
Ice and lemon.
Just ice, thank you. It was my birthday last week. I was given a laptop.
My brother's got one of those. On it all the time.
Mine's the latest standard. It's got CD rewriter, great graphics card, large RAM, and dual processors.
I don't really understand all the technical stuff. My brother's got some great games for us, though. That's £1, please.
Oh, here you go. Have you tried any?
When he first got it, I do like a bit of FIFA. Hang on, someone needs serving. I'll be back in a minute.
So hot in here. Really need a drink.
Well, he said he'd be back in a minute, so you can probably order something in about another 30 seconds.
What?
Well, in 25 seconds.
Hang on, sorry.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, we'll see. How many people?
Excuse me. You said he'd be back in a minute.
What's that?
You said he'd be back in a minute. You were telling me about your brother and his laptop.
Sorry, mate. I got busy.
So what can you do if you're not sure whether the conversation is definitely over? To handle these situations, you need a strategy. First, ask yourself some questions. Why did the barman stop talking to Peter? Because he was busy. Why didn't he come back to talk to Peter again after a minute? Because he was using a figure of speech. The barman didn't mean he would return in exactly a minute, just that he would return shortly.
Next, you could try to attract the bar person's attention once or twice. If they still don't return, assume they're too busy and try to start another conversation with someone else. Or, if they do come back, but are not giving you all their attention, ask if they're too busy to talk. Here is the scene again, with Peter using a reality check to decide whether the barman really means he'll be back in exactly a minute.
Hang on, sorry. Hi, what can I get you?
Can I have a Coke, please?
Ice and lemon.
Just ice, thank you. It was my birthday last week. I was given a laptop.
My brother's got one of those. On it all the time.
Mine's the latest standard. It's got CD rewriter, great graphics card, large RAM, and dual processors.
I don't really understand all the technical stuff. My brother's got some great games for us, though. That's £1, please.
Oh, here you go. Have you tried any?
When he first got it, I do like a bit of FIFA. Hang on, someone needs serving. I'll be back in a minute.
So hot in here. Really need a drink.
Well, he said he'd be back in a minute, but he's got busy.
Do we need for cold even we're here?
No. I guess I'll have to wait.
You having a good time?
Yeah, really good. What about you?
Yeah, really good. Excellent DJ.
Yeah, I love this sort of music. Maybe we'll have a dance later.
Oh, here he comes.
Sorry, I got waylaid by some thirsty people. What can I get you?
Can I have a Coke, please?
Peter's reality check told him what back in a minute really meant to the busy barman. In the English language, we use so many slang expressions and figures of speech, things that say one thing but actually mean another. It can be confusing. Let's look at an example by going back to the conversation between Peter and the head teacher.
I'm really pleased to have managed to get into this school.
And what school were you at before?
At Meadowbank.
Oh, we have a few pupils from there. Maybe you know them.
Yes, through friends of mine.
There goes the bell. Well, this won't do. We better pull our socks up or we'll be late for class.
Did you spot the hidden mixed message? Do you think the head teacher really wanted Peter to literally pull his socks up? Or was it a figure of speech?
So the question is, how do you work out what people really mean when they use expressions that could mean one thing or another? Answer, you use a strategy. In this case, you do a quick reality check. To get down to the reality of what's being said, ask yourself if it would make sense to perform the activity as stated, or could it mean something else? The head teacher told Peter to pull his socks up, but would actually pulling his socks up have stopped him being late to class? No. The real meaning behind her expression, pull your socks up, was the way the phrase is generally understood. It means get a move on and start doing what you should be doing. There are hundreds of figures of speech we use on a daily basis to make ourselves understood, and they are not always easy to spot. Here are a few examples.
Up the creek without a paddle. You're stuck in a bad situation. Barking up the wrong tree. You've come to the wrong conclusion about something. Got hold of the wrong end of the stick. You've misunderstood something. Leading him up the garden path. Someone's been tricked into believing a lie. I'm on top of the world. You feel really great, full of life and energy. You've got the devil in you today. You're behaving mischievously in some way. Could you keep your eye out for Dad? Keep a lookout for Dad to see if he's coming. If you don't stop doing that, you'll be in hot water. Which means if you don't stop doing that, you'll be in serious trouble. Can you think of any other examples of your own? Stop the DVD while you write down a list of other expressions. When you've done that, press play and we'll continue with the last section of the programme.
In this section, we will look closer at the most difficult forms of communication to understand, those with mixed messages, sarcasm and ulterior motives. Now take a careful look at the scene that follows. There won't be any sound to guide you. You won't hear what they are talking about.
Watch for all the visual clues. Body language, facial expressions, hand gestures and anything else that tells you what David's attitude is to Peter. Do you think David is pleased with Peter or unhappy at something he has done? The clues were he wasn't smiling and his body language made it look as if he was telling him off or arguing with him.
Let's find out by seeing it again, but this time with the sound on.
Pete, mate, I'm telling you, you've played brilliantly in the last match. If you keep turning up to training and you put the effort in, you'll definitely get a permanent place in the school team.
So now it's clear that David wasn't having a go at Peter. He was telling him what a good football player he is. But what he was saying didn't seem to match up with his body language. If you're confused by a mixed message, as Peter is in this example, you need a strategy to help you. You could simply ask a question that will help you discover the true meaning. Let's look at how the scene we've just been watching could continue.
So, do you really think I'm playing well enough to get chosen?
That's what I'm telling you. They'd be mad not to pick you.
Now look at this scene. Sometimes people try to fool us by pretending that it's okay to do something when really it's not. These people can be very clever and persuasive, using all kinds of arguments to convince you that what they are saying is right. Here's an example.
Oh, I've had enough, and this maths homework is so difficult. I just can't do it.
I'm going to ask my dad for some help.
Yeah, I'll probably just text a couple if I get stuck.
Andy, you've got to see this.
Pete, see that tenner she just put in her bag? You can borrow it if you want.
I can't do that.
Of course you can.
I should think I'd stolen it.
No, it's only borrowing, you see. You're new here. This is what we do around this school. We're all friends, aren't we? Go on, put it in your pocket. Go on, take it. We can buy something on the way home.
Uh-oh, this doesn't look right. But the boy telling Peter to borrow the money has been at the school and seems to know what he's talking about when he says it's okay to take things from others without asking. Peter doesn't feel right about what he's saying, But maybe it is how things are done here. How can he be sure? He has to do a reality check. Ask yourself, would this be stealing? Would a real friend ask you to take what is not yours from someone else for his or her gain? In this example, the answers in Peter's mind were very clear. This was a trick to fool him into stealing, and he wasn't going to do it.
Another example of what can be very hard to understand is sarcasm. When people say one thing when they really mean another, even the opposite. Here's Peter talking to his friend.
Hey Dave.
Oh, hi, Pete.
I'm organising a trip to go to the cinema on Friday. We're going to meet outside school at about 7. It's not confirmed yet, but I've asked a few people and I'm waiting to hear from them. Would you like to come? I'm going to be booking the seats on Wednesday.
Maybe. Who's going?
Rob, Sam and Mike.
Mike Palmer?
Yeah.
Well, me and Mike almost had a fight a couple of days ago. Remember?
So?
Well, I can't stand him. He's a right idiot. So me coming along would be a really great idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Is David being sarcastic? Does he really think it would be a great idea if he came along with Peter and his friends? To work out if people are being sarcastic, you need to consider the possibility that they may not mean what they are saying. Watch the body language and listen to the tone of voice carefully. Are they both friendly? Do they conflict? Check out facial expressions. Are they genuine? Think about the expression shown at the beginning of the scenarios. Take a look at the scene again with these strategies in mind.
Hey Dave.
Oh, hi, Pete.
I'm organising a trip to go to the cinema on Friday. We're going to meet outside school at about 7. It's not confirmed yet, but I've asked a few people and I'm waiting to hear from them. Would you like to come? I'm going to be booking the seats on Wednesday.
Maybe. Who's going?
Rob, Sam and Mike.
Mike Palmer?
Yeah.
Well, me and Mike almost had a fight a couple of days ago. Remember?
So?
Well, I can't stand him. He's a right idiot. So me coming along would be a really great idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay.
David's raised hand with his palm towards Peter gives the sign that he is blocking the idea, rejecting Peter's suggestion he should go out with them. There's no trace of a nod of agreement, and the expression on his face is another clue that he isn't happy about Peter's suggestion. And his voice doesn't have any warmth in it. When he says it's a great idea, his tone is dismissive. So all the clues are there that David is using sarcasm to make the point that he doesn't want to come along. But Peter's answer, yeah, okay, shows that he didn't realise David was being sarcastic.
And here's another example of sarcasm.
Hi Liz.
Hi.
What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going bowling. Really like it.
I love bowling. I used to go all the time when I was a kid.
God, I used to go a lot when I was young as well, but never got so much better. My bowling average has gone up to about 180 or to 190. So the only thing is cheating when people use the bumpers. Because they just go up, they throw the ball, and it hits the bumpers about 4 or 5 times, and they usually end up getting strikes. But me, I try and avoid the bumpers, and I always end up with stuff like spares. Anyway, it's all in the technique, so when you step up, you need to make sure that you
guys
flip
talk
the
about
wrist well.
bowling? Here's an idea. Why don't we all go bowling together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. You being such an expert and all that.
Oh, great.
Does this seem familiar? Liz didn't really mean, yeah, I can't wait. It was another example of sarcasm. Peter had bored Liz by going on and on talking about himself and how much he liked bowling. He wasn't having a conversation. He wasn't showing any interest in her or in hearing what she might have to say. So the last thing she wanted to do was go out with him. And she used sarcasm to make her point. Her body language and tone of voice, as well as her remarks, showed this. But Peter didn't pick up on it. But if Peter had talked to Liz differently, he would probably have got a different reaction from her. All he had to do was show some genuine interest in her and encourage her to tell him about herself. Let's look at what might have happened.
Hi, Pete. So what are you doing this weekend?
I'm going bowling. I really like it.
Love bowling. I used to go all the time when I was a kid.
You any good?
Not really. Always get the ball down the gutter. It's really embarrassing.
It can be harder than it looks. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. You're right, it's really embarrassing.
I haven't been in ages, you know.
You guys talking about bowling?
Yeah.
How about this for an idea? Why don't you all go bowling together?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, great.
This time Peter encouraged Liz to talk and he showed interest in what she had to say, and they had a proper conversation. Question, answer, another question, another answer. And they had a couple of laughs. So when David suggested they all go bowling, Liz liked the idea of spending more time with Peter. So there was no sarcasm in her answer when she said, "Yeah, that'd be great." Take a look at the scene again.
Hey, Pete. So what are you doing this weekend?
I'm going bowling. I really like it.
Love bowling. I used to go all the time when I was a kid.
You any good?
Not really. Always get the ball down the gutter. It's really embarrassing.
It can be harder than it looks. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. You're right, it's really embarrassing.
I haven't been in ages, you know.
You guys talking about bowling?
Yeah.
How about this for an idea? Why don't you all go bowling together?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, great.
Now practice some of your own scenes with a friend. At the beginning of this programme, I told the story of how I became involved in helping a boy with Asperger Syndrome after receiving a letter from his mother. She and her husband have been the driving force in getting this DVD made. Here's Tom's mum.
Hi, I'm Nikki, Tom's mum. We first realised Tom had problems when he started nursery school. He didn't seem to fit in, didn't mix with the other children, found it hard to concentrate or follow instructions, and appeared to find it hard to understand what people were saying. Above all, he struggled to cope with the noise levels. He would often be found in the corner of the classroom with his hands over his ears screaming. The teachers suggested he had a severe behaviour problem, and it took 4 years of test assessments before Tom was finally diagnosed with Asperger Syndrome at the age of 8. Our initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief, but we quickly realised that the sooner we accepted it, the sooner we could start helping him. We read books, watched videos and surfed the internet, but all we discovered were lists of symptoms and no real way of dealing with them. He got help in school, but what happened when he came home? We had no training and no support. We didn't really know what to do. We had reached crisis point and were at the end of our tether when, during a family holiday, we took him to see the stage version of A Low, A Low, starring Vicky Michelle. This proved to be the major breakthrough we were looking for. Tom could understand every word she said. We discovered this was due to her tone, facial expressions and body language. We were amazed. We took him to see other performances starring Vicky with the same result, and finally approached Vicky herself, who instantly offered help. Together with her communication skills as a performer, combined with recognised educational strategies, we've worked together to produce this DVD in the hope of helping others. So what else is important? Plan ahead and have strategies prepared to deal with situations. Writing checklists and reminders can also be invaluable for organising. Visiting the theatre is a tremendous way of learning how to understand communication and how to communicate. Teamwork is absolutely necessary, as is regular contact with schools and support workers. People with Asperger syndrome often experience an acute sense of hearing, making it difficult for them to cope with different tones of voice and volume levels. This can cause great distress. Always try to speak in a calm, even tone and slightly slower than normal pace. It helps reduce confusion. When stress does occur, try to remove the reason for it. That is the trigger point. Provide a safe space in which the person can calm down, giving constant reassurance. This is best done by a trusted supporter. The teaching of relaxation exercises and deep breathing can also be beneficial. Following a daily routine is useful and often necessary for people with Asperger syndrome, particularly in younger years. In later life, if the routines have been strict, this can actually cause additional problems. Try to vary any routines where possible, as it helps to improve flexibility over time and in the long run reduce anxiety levels. But equally important to all concerned is learning to accept what can't be changed and work on what can. The most valuable piece of advice we've ever been given as parents came from Vicky when she told us to always look for the positive in our son and not the negative, and to build on that. It isn't always easy, but it is the way forward.